Hello. Now that Mauga has been released, I figured it would be good to showcase some of the rollouts again so that people can use them in their games. So we put together what is probably the most applicable rollout for each map, just to showcase all the ones that you might actually find useful in one video. So just going right into it, starting with the escort maps, we have Circuit Royale. With this rollout, you could try out when attacking. Mauga's charge now gives 50% damage reduction in addition to providing immunity to crowd control. So this is just an alternative way that you could try taking the high ground instead of having to go up these stairs, which could be a choke point. If the other team has a heavy spam comp, then they can just spam you out if you go that way. This could be another way to try that. Next for Dorado, we have this set of jumps that you can make through all of the high ground on first point. Mainly just the jump to the first building is important, since you can just play up there, where you can kind of just poke and then drop down whenever you want to. And realistically, what is the enemy team going to do about it? Dive heroes will play up here all the time, so Mauga can as well. You can just poke with your primary and then drop down with your E whenever you want to. And realistically, it's going to be very difficult for the enemy team to do anything about you, because the only tanks that they can send up there easily are, you know, a Winston or a Diva, and both of them just kind of get shredded by Mauga, so this could be a very strong position to play from. For Havana, the rollout is attacking on third point. You can first make the jump into the building here, and then from there you can actually charge up the wall and stomp onto the bridge. Can be very useful as a route for attacking a team that is playing from bridge, because the building will give you cover and there's also a mega in there, and then from there you can just charge up the wall and immediately get onto bridge and start going after anyone who's there. For Junkertown, of course, we have the rollout onto the high ground where Widowmakers usually play. Just a very strong rollout. Another really good one is attacking first point on Rialto. If you go to the high ground from spawn, you can actually charge across the gap and then actually use the stomp to clear the second gap and just immediately get onto the defending team's high ground from your spawn. For Route 66, you can actually get onto the high ground as Mauga by first making this difficult jump onto the electrical box. You can then charge up onto the roof here and then strafe jump around the wall to get up to the high ground. Primarily, this could be useful while defending if the other team gets the cart halfway through the map. Then you could just start playing from up here because it gives you ample time to poke at the enemy team and try and get a kill. And then if you ever see anyone make a mistake, you can basically charge anywhere on the map from this high ground and use Cardiac Overdrive to just finish people off. For Zimbali Monastery, the best rollout is this one on defending third point. You can charge up the snow, get over the wall, and then you still have full control over your charge to just kind of turn into the enemy team and go wherever you need to. You get some really good distance while still in the air, so it can be very useful to engage on a team that might still be trying to attack through this corridor. Watchpoint Gibraltar has this very nice set of jumps that you can do. First, you can jump out of spawn onto the bridge, and then from the high ground there, you can actually jump charge across the gap and then use the stomp to get onto the high ground at the end of first point as well. Both of these jumps lead into each other and can be very useful if the enemy team is playing heroes that are abusing the high ground a lot. And then as a bonus, because it's cool but way too inconsistent to do, you can actually make this jump as well. Moving on to hybrid maps, Blizzard World first point, you have this really good rollout for attack, where you just launch yourself off this roof and then get immediate control over the enemy team's high ground on point. And then as a bonus here on third point, you can actually charge up this wall and jump and get to the high ground from there as well. Could be very useful, but I definitely think that the first rollout is just much cooler to do. For Eichenwald, of course, you can make the jump onto this bridge, and then from there is a very cool rollout. You can charge and then slide off of the roof of the tower to get a very cool angle, basically diving directly onto point. For Hollywood first point attacking, you can charge from the stairway here for the crowd control immunity, and then just jump directly onto the defending team's high ground. For King's Row, we have two. The first one is this rollout you can do to set up on this high ground when defending first point. Could catch the enemy team off guard, and then if they find you out, you actually have a very clean and quick charge to get back to the point from here. But for a more practical rollout, if you're attacking second point and you win a fight, you can actually charge from here up onto the high ground and then defend from there. For Midtown, we have this jump that can actually be useful both if you're attacking and defending. When attacking, you can just use it as a quick and surprising engagement, especially if you have your ultimate. And then when defending, you can make the same jump to try and catch people who are trying to fall back, or maybe just use it to get at the enemy team's backline. For Numbani, I want to showcase this little rollout that you could use to quickly get onto the bus near the enemy side of the map when defending. This can actually be a really good rotation. If you win a fight, you can try and catch people who are trying to fall back and stagger them from here. It's just a very quick, effective, and pretty cool looking rollout that you can do. For Paraiso, best rollout is this one here, being able to take control of the high ground when attacking second point. And then just as a bonus, when you're defending, you can actually make this jump through the window. Can be incredibly good if you combo it with your ultimate because people aren't going to expect you to be able to do this at all. Moving on to push maps for Coliseo. Best rollout is definitely this one to get the high ground near the end of the map. High ground is always good with Mauga. His mid-range poke is actually pretty underrated, and also having high ground just means that he can charge out onto anyone anywhere, turning him into a dive hero. So even if you don't poke, you could just hide out there, wait for the enemy team to come out of spawn, and go onto bridge, and then just jump their backline from there. For Esperanza, the most useful rollout is probably this one, to jump from bridge into the window. And then for New Queen Street, just this jump from the window into the walkway at the center of the map. Again, just gives Mauga high ground to play from and poke from until he sees an opportunity to just charge off and jump the enemy team and go all in. Moving on to Flashpoint, these maps kind of suck for rollouts, so we just tried to find something unique for the first point of each of the maps because you're guaranteed to get them. As a cool rollout that is unfortunately limited time use because it requires the breakable railing, you can actually jump and charge onto the dome and gain height and just go over it or go around it. You have complete control over your charge. You can just do whatever with this. Very cool if you want to be a TikTok Mauga. And then for Saravasa, you can just make this jump basic, but a lot of teams will play from here and leave their supports up there, so it's highly effective. Next up for King of the Hill, I'll try and go quickly, since I will be talking about a rollout for each of the 3 points of each map. Starting with Antarctic Peninsula, for this point, you can actually make the jump across to this high ground on point. Can be useful during first fight to take a different angle after going up this way, or if the enemy team already has control over the point, it can be useful to get onto a support if they leave one of their supports playing over here. For this point, you can actually slide up this roof and make the jump onto point. Could actually be very strong because you get the cover of the corner of point to play around, and you'll get a good angle regardless if the enemy team is playing on point or if they're playing off to the side on their own high ground. And then for the indoor point, we have this rollout to get on the wall here. Just gives you a different angle of going this way that people would normally go. Benefits to being up on the high ground is that if you play near the back of the wall, you can just simply walk backwards and drop off of it if you ever need any cover. And it also gives you a height advantage over the enemy team, sometimes making it easier to fire at their backline instead of being body blocked by the tank that's in front of them. For Busan Mecha Base, you can make this jump here. Can be useful if the enemy team has any heroes that are playing from this high ground, since it lets you easily get onto them. For For this point, you can actually make the jump from the window onto the high ground in the center of the map. Can actually be really useful because sometimes teams will play off of this high ground, and this just lets you get up there and be on top of them, and then you can just drop onto them whenever you want to from there. And then for this point, it's a little bit inconsistent, but you can make the jump from here onto the high ground by going against this slope. Can be very useful because oftentimes the enemy team supports will be playing from here, and this just lets you get at them, you know, with full immunity to sleep dart in any form of crowd control. For Ilios, well, you can make this jump onto the high ground, and then you can just play from up there, or of course you can just charge and dive onto the enemy team's back line if you want to. Just a very good position to hold. For Lighthouse, you can make this really cool jump onto the lighthouse. From there, you can also jump to the enemy team's high ground, but what I find really fun is you can actually charge and jump to get through this window and attack point. Can be very fun to do, especially if you have your ultimate ready. And then for Ruins, the coolest thing you have is just this jump onto point. Could be useful in a lot of different situations you find yourself in. If someone is playing over here, you can just quickly jump onto them. Just a very useful jump. For Leasing Tower, on the indoor point, we have this very easy jump to get up to high ground now. Again, can be useful if the enemy team has, you know, a Soldier 76 that's playing up there. You can just use this to go get at them and force them back. For this point, you actually have this really cool jump you can make and keep your charge if the enemy team goes bridge and you're defending point. If they try going across bridge, you can just use this to run through all of them from behind and then just stomp their backline, stun them, and then just go to town. And then on this point, you can actually climb the statue and then make the jump onto the high ground from there. And then that just gives you a very good place to jump on the enemy team when they try and go past you. They just won't expect you to be up there, and then you'll just be inside of them with all of your abilities. On this point of Nepal, you can actually use this jump to get from one high ground to another. Can be useful since you can just kill anyone who's up here, or just use it to pressure the enemy team's backline and maybe stage a charge from up there to jump onto their backline or the rest of their team. A lot of options here. On the indoor point of Nepal, you can actually make this jump around the edge of the map. Again, just a very good flank route to get at the enemy team. If they try and go this way, you can just go through there and get at their support line. And then for Village, there really wasn't that much. If you're defending and the enemy team is going to go left side, you can play in here. And then if they do go left side, you can actually make this charge through their entire team and then try and stomp their back line as they go up top. Of course, if you are playing from here, if they go main, then you can kind of do the same thing. Just something that could be a surprising play to pull out against a team. For Oasis, really the best thing you can do is charge from this high ground and try and jump on the enemy team if they come this way. For University, though, you have something a bit cooler. If you go high ground, you can actually jump onto the wall and then charge from it to get a really good dive onto the enemy team if they're going main. And then, of course, for the map of the jump pad, we just had to sew off this rollout that you can do. Reinhardt can do the same thing, but Mauga just kind of does it better. But yeah, if the enemy team is rolling out of spawn, you can just make the jump over here and just go at them from behind. Especially if you have your ultimate ready, it can be incredibly useful. And yeah, that is one rollout for each of the standard maps that are available in Overwatch 2 right now. Hopefully you can try these out in your games. Even if just for fun, they are very fun and very cool to pull off. You can get some cool clips with some of them. So yeah, please like and subscribe, and until next time, see ya.